And the beginning of the classified said, game show contestants wanted. It was a new game show. I'm like, I'm the luckiest person I know. Let me try out for it. I got lucky and I won some money.
Welcome to Entertain Me, hosted by Roberto Capodieci, where we bridge the worlds of new and old technologies, meet extraordinary individuals, revisit visions of the future, and celebrate the connections between technology and life. You're now listening to Life Tips.
Does not compute. Does not compute.
Hello everybody and welcome back to another episode of Entertain Me. Today we have a guest that is particularly interesting in this life philosophy and achievement that he had. He's Henry Woodman, and welcome to the show, Henry.
Good day. It's great to be here. Thanks for having me.
Hey, it's my pleasure. So Henry has a very particular past, and I think that where there are opportunity, you jump to the opportunity, but I think being over this is opportunity jumping on him as well in his life. I saw that, started with video games to TV production, tech internship, and then, all the things he went to do, movie production, television, and so what else? We are interested. There is even a project that is working on to make a series out of a book left from his father. So incredible. So there is a lot to go through, a lot to explore. So we started from past where technology was at the beginning, the one that we use. And I was there too a little bit later, but we have things to look. So video games. Tell me about your video games moment in the past. What happened? How you got there?
Well, I mean, at the end of the day, my video game moment was really an addiction I had to a game called Pac-Man, which pretty much everybody knows. A little ball there. I had a callus on my thumb and forefinger from playing so many hours a day. And there I was as a sophomore in college, and I'm in a laundromat with a pocket full of quarters. And at the time, you put a quarter in the machine, you could play the game.
Right.
So I have a pocket full of quarters. I'm watching my clothes, wash and dry, and I'm bored and I don't want to study, and I'm jonesing for Pac-Man, right? So these places need a video game machine. We have a captive audience here. So I go back to my dorm room and I call every laundromat in Tucson just to see if they had any. And then eventually I'd say, oh, so nobody's got any. Would you like one? And, a couple of people would say, sure, and so I ended up going to Phoenix, which was the big city nearby. I was in Tucson. Okay. And they had an auction. At the time, this is the late 70s, they had these video arcade places in malls. Right. And then in the backs of the room were the machines that nobody played because nobody liked them. So eventually they'd get rid of them, get them off their books and sell them at an auction. So I buy a used machine at an auction with tuition money that I couldn't afford. And I ended up putting it in my first laundromat. And then, a couple months later, it made all of its money back. And then I bought another and, it continued on. So the idea really for me, the opportunity was trying to solve my own problem. I want to play video games and I happen to be in this laundromat. I have quarters and I'm bored, right? So it was taking advantage of my own personal hedonistic need.
Okay. Here already there is an amazing lesson in life, right? Rather than complaining, be your own solution and actually build up a small business around us. Not even small maybe, because in fact there's a marriage that is fantastic. People has to wait. They already have the quarter in their pocket. You just serve it, In Italy they put coffee machines because but it wouldn't be a bad thing to join like co-working space and laundromats. So sometimes this geek smells very bad. So we maybe showers as well. And that's an amazing thing.
There are times where people will say, man, somebody should do something, right? And that's where you'd say that somebody could be me. But at the end of the day, I'm like, it's a problem I have. Maybe other people, because, a lot of other people were playing video game machines. Maybe other people have that same problem, right? So if you can answer those two questions, is this a problem for me? Yes. Might this be a problem for others? Yes. Can I do something about it? Maybe. Okay. Why not? Why not somebody? Oh, let somebody else do it. Why not me? Right?
Absolutely. In the first 4 minutes of the episode, we already have hit an amazing point. This is, because sometimes these are theoretical things that people say, but starting a story that you are still in college and you have this need and you build a business around it as a starting point is amazing. And surely also build the kind of feeling that you can do it even more. So next time there's something similar present, which has been from that. The next thing was TV production, like production assistant in movie. What?
Well, so let me. The video game business was not a huge enterprise. I mean, I would have some machines, and they were really bad machines, right? Because I buy them at an auction. So I'd move them every couple of weeks to different locations, and that people would come back and go, "Oh, finally they figured out that was a terrible machine. This is pretty. Let me try this one, right?" So I graduate. I'm going to go to Los Angeles to produce and direct movies. Of course, that didn't happen. I ended up on a game show, made some money, had some money from selling the business, like a normal young.
Wait, a game show as a guest. So you win a game show and won some money out of the game show. Okay,
actually there were two, but yeah.
It's what I'm saying. When somebody's blessed and kissed on the forehead by luck, and there's going to be like this. It's funny. The late father of my brother's wife, he could just hand me lottery anything and be guaranteed to always win. So there are some people we need to do a scientific research, get the DNA and try to clone it. Anyway, sorry for the interruption. Go ahead.
I haven't won the lottery yet, but so I go to Los Angeles. I'm thinking, all right, I want to get into the business. I don't know what to do. Let me look at the newspaper and see the classified, what's there. And the beginning of the classified said, game show contestants wanted. It was a new game show called Press Your Luck. And I'm like, I'm the luckiest person I know. Let me try out for it. And sure enough, I'm on the second show that they air. I got lucky because I wasn't my smarts. I got lucky and I won some money. Right. So, I take my money and I'm thinking, Los Angeles, young, I do stupid things, spending money on parties and drugs. And, next thing I know, I'm like, I need to get out of this world. So I end up on a travel film crew where I'm working as a PA, a production assistant, gopher, if you will. And after several years moving my way up, from sound guy to the assistant director, I'm producing stuff. Right. So I'm producing travel films.
One more point. Sorry if I interrupt you again. I saw it is essentially necessary is to go bottom. So to start with the base, learn and earn your way up. Because when you get up in this way, you know exactly what it means to be on the lower part, how to treat those people, what problem they can have. Some people start and enter at the top level directly, and they really miss this capacity and ability. So this is also very appreciated, I think, and it happened by chance, but it's something that people should actually do. When checking CV for applicant, it's something that I look, somebody just has top level, top tier things is suspicious, right? It's not.
And this is true with business. When I look at, I didn't know when I started my larger business, I didn't know how to raise money. Had I known, I would have probably blown it all and bankrupted the company. Right. Because as a young start, you have to wear multiple hats. You have to understand all of the elements in the business. And people who come in and they have not done that, they don't know the details about all of those jobs and how they interrelate and how they can best manage and lead the people.
Absolutely. And sorry again for interrupting you. Go ahead with the things, but this is something that I really feel like exactly like this startup. You bootstrap, you respect the money. Somebody finance a few million, you go buy a nice car and things, and the money are finished, and then your job is just getting more money. And I so many.
I was going to say you have to respect the money because it's your money. It's not somebody else's money.
Right. Correct. Okay, sorry. Go ahead. So you are in this career in production of.
Right. So I'm producing travel films, and I happen to be producing in Chile in Latin America, and had befriended the production companies. And then soon after that, in the late 80s, Pinochet, who was the dictator of Chile, had been ousted, and it went from a dictatorship to a democracy. And as a result, they needed They had added new television stations and a new television networks and needed content. So I'm thinking, I've been traveling a lot of years. It's time for me to settle down. I'm going to go to Chile, call my partner, and I say, listen, or my production partner, and say, listen, can you set up a meeting at this new network and I'll go in and I'll pitch a new TV show. If they take it, you'll produce it and we'll work together. So I set up a thing, take an idea from a show in the US. I fly to Chile. I present this show. A couple of months later, we're on the air with a new show called Machos. And again, opportunity, need. There was a need for new content and programming. It was a younger demographic in Chile. So we did a young game show for the demographic there.
And onward. Sometimes people think, I cannot do it here. I should be in another place, etc., etc. Doesn't matter. You can be in Los Angeles. You can be in wherever you are in Chile. If you want, you see the opportunity and you take it and you make something out of it. So amazing part that too.
And you don't normally look and say, where are the opportunities? They happen to present themselves because had I not been doing travel films, that wouldn't have occurred to me, including the next iteration, which I'm in Chile, and somebody gives me a CD-ROM with a 360-degree virtual tour. And I'm like, that is so cool. I can produce travel virtual reality tours without a big group of guys and 17 pieces of luggage. I'm going to set up a company and do virtual reality for travel. And I set up a company called World Travel Vision. So I do this for a few years. I moved back to Miami, Florida. I do this for a couple of years. And now the hotels and the destinations say, how do we put these virtual tours on this new worldwide thingy? Like, I don't know, send them a CD-ROM. Because I would give them a CD-ROM that they could take to the trade shows, conferences to promote themselves. And they said, yeah, there's no standard. So I look into seeing how I can help. So now I'm producing and then eventually writing, getting people to write technology to deliver the virtual tours to the Expedias and the Orbitses of the world.
Right.
And then eventually I realize, okay, so the bigger problem is photos, because the old systems where you went to a brick and mortar travel agency did not have photos. It was just green screen with cryptic text. Take that to the internet and they needed to store photos in a separate database and put it together in the website. So now we realize, okay, let's try to work on getting the photo distribution because we already got introductions to the travel sites with the virtual reality. So, again, opportunity, take advantage of it, see what I can do. And eventually, obviously, it took 22 years to build it and grow it. You go on any travel site on the planet today and you see photos of hotels. They probably come from my old company. Sold it a few years ago.
Yeah. And again, sometimes I have this thing I say, strip me naked, drop me in an island, and I'm going to be able to start something, like from a clothing company made with leaves to start to solve my own problem that I'm naked. But it's true when life experience bring you through different aspects. You were saying opportunity comes to you if you listen to them, if you can see them. So I think that this will be a great exercise. This is something that today's school should teach kids because subjects are no more something important to teach in school because access to knowledge is everywhere, right? So what the kids in school should learn is how to learn, how to find good material to learn, and most probably also practical things. And this one, when you're around with your eyes, see the opportunity, understand when you have a problem, if you can do something to make it better because it can help somebody else as well. For free or for a profit, even better. So it is an attitude in life, I believe. It's not just a business-oriented kind of behavior. It's something that somebody that thinks in this way will also move the rock from the road because it's going to create trouble for other drivers. Even nobody pays him for that, So I appreciate this kind of personality because are those that make the world a better place in all means and make their own life a better life as well indirectly. So it comes back is a practical application of karma, if you want, in terms of, do good, get good back. So this is amazing. And so we were to the point where you are doing this virtual tour, then photo distribution. And then you said, I made an exit and now I'm going to scratch my belly in the beach of Florida for the rest of my life. Or right. What you went into?
Well, listen, I hadn't planned on exiting the time that I did, but, we were growing fairly rapidly and, companies were coming to us with offers and interest. And I said, look, I really don't think I'm there yet. I had a number on my mirror for a decade, right? I knew what I wanted in order to live the rest of my life without much worry. And so the company would come and they'd say, listen, we're interested. I said, yeah, but I'm not there yet. I think I need to have more revenue to higher EBITDA in order to get the multiple I want, blah, blah, blah. And they said, well, what's your number? So I give them a number and they think about it and I'm quiet for a second, scared that they're going to say, get out of here. You're crazy. And they finally say, fine, you got a deal. I'm like, what? Oh, yeah, great. No investment banker. 60 days later, money was in the bank. And this was 1 year before COVID. And we know what happened with the hospitality industry and COVID. I mean, some of my clients, Hilton and Wyndham and Hyatt and Best Western, Accor, they're calling me and asking for relief. And I'm like, oh my God, these are multi-billion-dollar companies. And that's, it was the, but now they've already.
Right moment, oh my God, this is really living under the spotlight of Lady Fortune. Like you're blessed with luck in the right things of moments. So good.
Well, I tell people, if you're looking for the opportunity, then you need to be prepared and lucky. Because there isn't anybody who said, oh, it's me, I knew everything. No, you got to be lucky. You got to be at the right place at the right time. And, because how many times in your life where you're at the wrong place, the wrong time, or the right place, the wrong, if it's the right time and so on. You got to be prepared and you need to be lucky and you might see opportunity. It's not guaranteed.
So, but that's when I interviewed about being entrepreneurship, etc. for young kids, I always say luck, you like it or not, is a huge slice of the success of somebody.
Huge.
Huge. There is no other way to look at it.
You keep planting seeds. You get prepared, and then you hope for the luck because that opportunity might find you.
That's precise, correct.
So, getting back to the story, I'm 40 years ago, moved to Los Angeles, if you recall. My idea was to produce and direct movies. Well, that never happened. And the world has changed from the studio system to now the streamers. And so I bought the rights to a book 40 years ago. I published it a year ago and it's doing really well. So now I want to develop that book into a streamer. Still a different set of circumstances. The streamers have more control, but they're still a good old boys. The agents and the network of Hollywood people is challenging, but I think that world is also going to be disrupted very soon by AI text to video. And, when I look at it from an economic perspective, if I were a Netflix or an Amazon or an Apple, and I look at it, I say, look, you mean you could do 4 or 5 series for the price of, with AI for the price of one for traditional? And if how you watch a series and you go, that's pretty good. Oh, it's only one season. I wonder when season 2, and they say, yeah, season 2 was just greenlit. It'll be on in 2027. And you're like, oh my God, I'll forget everything by then. Right? Now you can say, look, I can do it for less money. I can do it faster. And if they like it, season 2 can come within a couple of months.
And yes, looking at this aspect, because here, we fall into my pond of technology and AI, is making this supercomputer that costs about $3,000. So something that is not very expensive. And actually, you will be thinking that Netflix and those have the money to spend to invest in this sort of technology. But the idea is that as ChatGPT knows me well, better and better as I use it, our television is going to be able to know us better and better and can even produce the video we want on the fly for us. They already succeeded. So AI generate a frame every 30, I think. And there is another model much faster that interpolate all the frame in between. So sometimes it's strange the movement, but this can catch up in real time. So you can dictate what happened. This will be for video games that are generated as you go. There are already video games where you enter some areas and are all generated in the moment. Obviously those are not realistic, but the idea that and we saw VO3 now with the Google, the quality of those videos that are just a block of 8 seconds. So you realize that it's made by AI, no more because people have 6 fingers in their hand, but because it's always very short takes, like 8-second takes, 10-second takes, 10-second takes. But I saw things that are borderline impossible to understand that they're made with AI, which actually reminds me, back in the days, so this would be like 40 years ago, 37 years ago, when ray tracing was a thing. So there was the 3D shaping of things, and you put the marble, I don't know, like surface in a ball. We took an actual marble slab and an actual billiard ball and make it all, and we filmed with a camera. And that was presented as ray tracing to be the top best quality ray tracing. Today, I guess, doing the real movie, the real film with actual actors, it will be the best AI production that can come out because it's so realistic that it's actually true, right? But we are at this point where, it's difficult to recognize which is one or which is the other.
Yeah. So Roberto, keep in mind that this is just the beginning. This is like when we dialed up to the internet at 28.8 or 56K and we're like, it's a novelty. It's not going to hold, people are not going to stick with it. Not true. Growing exponentially. Two, the fact of the matter is when you say, VO3 is doing really well today, imagine a year or 18 months from now, what it can do, right? It's going to get considerably better in the price point because listen, production is very expensive. You have a lot of above the line and below the line people that get together at a location and you pay for, several hours, 8 to 12 hours in a day to do a couple of minutes of finished product. It's a lot of money.
Absolutely. And in fact, just when CGI came along, and you don't need to go in location anymore. You can work with green screens. You can do this thing. Already there, the cost went down drastically. But we are arriving to the point that there is not going to be a business anymore. In fact, I was wondering if those major of movie are going to lobby government to put legislation that somehow gonna save them by forbidding the use of AI for movie production. I don't know, things like that. It's sure that this cannot be applied worldwide, so there is always a way around it. But
I don't think so. I think the people that are going to survive it are the already A-type movie stars, that are out there with a name, but people that you have never heard of, or you can say to AI, listen, give me a person who's the cross between Roberto and Henry, right? Good looking guy. He doesn't have any IP. I own it and you can do whatever you want. So you're like, well, I didn't take Roberto's image and likeness. I took a blend of something, right? And, you can take old sceneries and tweak it. It's going to be, well, first of all, I think it's going to be more YouTube will do smaller things because we have a shorter attention span. So instead of an hour series, it might be 6-10 minute series where I only have 10 minutes. I want to go again. I do another 10 minutes and so on. So I think the world is going to be changing in the coming years as a result of what AI will be doing for entertainment.
That's very interesting. Something that I was thinking, and sorry, I'm going to talk about a little bit philosophical on this topic. As a kid, we had 3 TV channels when I was little. Then they became 6. But you're sure that the cartoons that you can watch before dinner, after dinner, are the same for all the classmates. So when you're in class the next day, surely you have a topic of discussion, something that brings together even though you were separated. I would say that maybe today is already different because the choice and the selection is so vast that, but if 2 kids are passionate of the same things, like Japanese, in this part of the world, my kids are crazy for Japanese cartoons and stuff, manga, etc., etc.
And that's the other thing.
Because the names are the same, so also their friends are looking at the same things, right? Tomorrow, this is not going to be no more. So it's going to be difficult. I think probably there will be some joint point where you go to your friend's house and your own story movie and his own story movie can melt for the evening in a matching story. But it's going to split society. It's going to separate people, give less, point of conversation because the culture shapes around what we absorb, and what we absorb comes from television and movies mainly, right?
They'll go deeper into their own echo chambers.
Right. That's probably a downside of it in a very exciting aspect of things. But a good points that you make are good. So until for a few more years, currently famous actor characters and things, and maybe also going forward, they can sell their likeness to AI production houses. So with the content, it says what you can make me do and what you cannot make me do, for example.
It will be limited. I think they're the ones that have the most power. Now, if I were a young actor in Hollywood wanting to get a start and they say, sign this agreement, and the agreement says, in the future, I can use your likeness. And I'm like, whatever, just give me some work. I'll sign anything. That's happening. And they're later that it's going to be problematic.
And music industry is very similar at this. There are stories of friends that became very famous in Italy. The first album was the peak or the success. They made close to zero money because everything went to the producer. And they were luxury for a few years from coming out with their own things because the contract also forbid them to, do something like that. So yes, what people saying is important. And as of today, signing something to give away your voice, your likeness, even if it's not going to be you singing or acting, is something that can trap somebody in a bad way. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, it's going to be challenging. And a lot of people their businesses and lives are going to be disrupted by AI, in my opinion.
Yeah. And in this TV series that you're making out of the book, Reincarnation of Marie, can you tell us a little bit about this and are you going to use AI? How is coming out? How you work on this?
So the answer to the question, the Reincarnation of Marie was written 40 years ago. And the idea was this young guy finds his soulmate with one problem. She died 70 years earlier. He finds her by reading a journal. So this is based on an actual woman called Marie Barsterseff back in the 1800s, late 1800s. She writes a journal between 14 and 24. At 24, she dies of tuberculosis. 2 years after her death, her mom publishes the journal and it becomes an international bestseller. And he's vandalized.
Story.
This is a true story.
This is actual story.
Yeah. And she writes the journal and 70 years later, somebody reads the journal and feels like, oh my God, she's my soulmate. She's looking for me because she says, I haven't found my love. I will find you in time. It's transitory. I'm going to find you, right? He's like, I believe it. Then he realizes, wait a second. I've fallen in love with a dead woman through her writing. This is crazy. This is not right. Then he finds her reincarnation. And that's kind of the basis of the story. The reincarnation of Marie is essentially a stepping stone to the series, which is called Slippin', Slippin' Through Time, either reincarnation or metaverse or slippin' in your mind, of all of the past lives and how they interconnect with the present day lives, whether it's paying back karma or getting rewards for good karmatic thing or the sins of the father or all of the different characters that have been in a previous life and are affecting your current life, right? And that's where Slippin' has this series of twists and turns that explores that supernatural phenomena or this, paranormal love. Does love transcend time? Do soulmates exist? And if they do, and you don't see them in every lifetime, do you have to work out karma? Stuff like that.
Beautiful. Can't wait to see it. Oh my God, that's something very
interesting. Sorry, Roberto. The answer to your question is, I don't want to use AI because I'd love to do additional production. But if we don't get traction in the next year or so, my thought is that AI is going to start to be much more prevalent and start to take over. And cost-wise, it probably is going to be much more utilized in the coming, years. And that will change the dynamic of film and television production.
Yeah, I was just reading the other day the story of this a guy that spent 8 years writing all the story of a series and is very beautiful. He has all the description of the character and everything. And then, the condition for producing it were never good enough for him or something like that. And now just using View3, he made a trailer of what is going to be this thing. And he's amazing. And you think that this guy pretty much alone, if you put 8 years in writing everything, must know the details to the small one. He can sit at his computer, spend a very small amount of money, and in 1 year or two, he can come out with amazing material. So this is the meritocracy in the production world, because like it or not, in the past, you need to have somebody financing it. So you need to befriend these people, accept the condition. You need to have access to studios. You need to have, so not everybody, even people with a very good quality material, would have had the opportunity, maybe because they don't live near any place where they produce movies or, whatever it is the reason, they're not friends of the person. And I think like YouTube gave space and face to a lot of people that will never be able to emerge in television. And actually they become even more popular than they would have been in a TV network, because there are YouTube channels, they have much more viewers than television. This is basically for the production of movies with AI, right?
This is why I believe YouTube is going to be a much stronger influence as people start to create their own things, and then shorter versions with hooks that continue on, which means that somebody can spend, I got a 10-minute break. Let me watch this on my phone, because that's the way, unfortunately, that's the way consumers are now viewing entertainment.
That's absolutely correct. So what would be your, if you can go back and talk to your self at the laundromat when you're installing the game from the, refuse machine that they were selling for cheap, what are you going to tell yourself? What is going to be something that you say?
Enjoy the ride. I think the one piece of advice would probably try not to stress as much as you worry about things that are possible, that are going to happen, that may not happen. Try not to lose so much stress about it.
Yeah. Like in Italy, we say don't put the bandages before you cut yourself, because you don't like, and I think it's also, I don't know. I mean, passing 50 on the above 50 as age, it really, I don't know if it's a matter of caring less or worry less, but I think even in the relationship, if I think the reason why I rejected the relationship with girls when I was 16, 20, 25, they look so silly today. They will be like, why I even, not consider she was an amazing person just because this silly reason, and in work and in many other aspects of life, the maturity of understanding how less important something is that we believe it is a key. And I wish I could transmit this message, this understanding to my kids, for example, right? To save them from getting, annoyed or getting hurt or getting, for things that then no basis. So just enjoy the ride. They don't stress.
At the end of the day, the hardest thing to tell somebody is try not to stress that much. That's the hardest thing to manage, is your level of stress. I mean, if you say, exercise, eat well, sleep. Okay, you can control most of that. But if you say, try not to stress so much, you're like, yeah, easy for you to say. Yeah, it's maybe meditate or take walks or just try to get out of your head for a couple of minutes.
All right. And where I can find your book if I want the book that you had published?
Well, it's sold all over, but if you want to see some variety, we have a website called mariethestory.com. And on the website, there's information on where to buy the book. There's information on the series. There's all kinds of links. So you can find me and the progress of the book and the series.
So below the video, there is going to be all the links for everybody too, because it's fascinating. And another thing that I wanted to just clarify maybe with you, because Marie, reincarnation, make people think we're talking about the Mother of Jesus, but this is nothing to do with religion. It's just beautiful, close to paranormal, psychological kind of aspect.
Paranormal.
It's fantastic. It's beautiful. I love it. I wanted to say because, so the name unfortunately evokes in people's mind, that. So it's been an amazing conversation. I would really love to sit at dinner with a nice glass of wine and beautiful food and have a chat for 2 hours, because you are a fantastically interesting person. Though maybe we're going to catch back in the future when your production goes ahead for the series. Right?
Thank you, Roberto. I appreciate it.
Thank you for being in the show, and good luck with everything else.
Got it. Ciao.
You've been listening to Entertain Me, hosted by Roberto Capodieci. If you're not subscribed, you better smash that subscribe button now, or else AI might decide you're obsolete.